We trap ourselves by telling lies.
Expanding Medicaid will worsen the health care options for the most vulnerable among us.
We trap ourselves by telling lies.
Obamacare is the biggest job killer in this country. It is hurting the economy.
We trap ourselves by telling lies.
If you're a young person right now coming out of school, with Obamacare beginning to be implemented, the odds are higher that you're going to have a hard time finding a job.
We trap ourselves by telling lies.
When you see the lies, the deception, the distractions, that means mischief's going on.
What do you say we talk about those lies right here on The Ed Show? This has been one of the craziest and one of the most unusual weeks Washington has seen in a long time. This week was filled with lies put out there by Republican members of Congress on Obamacare. The king of the lies, well, he wins it. Canadian Senator Ted Cruz from Texas. He's the star. Now, keep in mind, all of these lies purported by this senator, you know, they weren't said over lunch. They weren't. This wasn't over a cup of coffee. This wasn't at some town hall meeting with some crazies that were rabid fans of the senator. No. This was on the Senate floor. This is now in the Senate record and will be in the history books forever. But this is a very important moment for us, the taxpayers, the American people, the people that vote, that send these people to Washington. And I don't care if you're a Texan or from Alabama or Florida or Minnesota or whatever. We're all Americans, right? We only want the truth. Not only did Cruz lay out typical Republican bullet point lies on Obamacare, he totally distorted the stories of average Americans. One of these Americans is my next guest. John Connolly is 22 years old. He's a student who is finishing his last semester at Rutgers University. Hey, he's had hardships. Recently, he's been dealing with student debt. He's trying to find a job. Ted Cruz used John Connolly's story to lie about Obamacare. Now, I want to play part of this clip of Senator Cruz distorting John's story on the Senate floor during his non-filibuster yesterday. Here it is.
John Connolly thought he was on right track in life. The son of a New Jersey auto mechanic, he was the first in his family to go to college. 4 years later, the 22-year-old found himself $21,000 in debt, without a permanent job and sleeping on friends' couches. But he still doesn't know what he'll do when he graduates at the end of the semester. The costs of a lost generation.
Let's bring in John Connolly. John, good to have you with us tonight. I appreciate your time. For time, we didn't get the whole statement in there, but I want to ask you, what did Ted Cruz lie about on the Senate floor about your situation?
Well, right. Specifically, it seems kind of bizarre that he's blaming a law that was passed in 2010 on trends that go back, well past 2007. Only a little over half of people my age, people 25 and under, are actually employed full time. And of those people, we've seen our wages decrease 5% since 2007. We're not getting the kinds of jobs we were promised we would get out of college. We're facing stalled careers, and at the same time, we're straddling huge debt loads, mortgage-sized payments on houses that we can't afford.
So how did it make you feel when you found out that the senator from Texas, who I understand you've never met and never had a conversation with, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And how does it make you feel that he used your story in an effort to defund Obamacare and distorted totally your situation?
I feel like it was almost as if he told his office to go out and find the worst example of the point he was trying to pull. I first off only found out that I was mentioned in his speech as I was on my way to an optometrist appointment that I could only go to because I'm still covered under my father's union-provided insurance thanks to Obamacare. My little sister has pre-existing conditions, would be unable to have health insurance under, the kind of free market dystopia that Ted Cruz would like to push for, but she can have insurance under Obamacare. I am not only an example of someone who isn't being hurt by Obamacare being passed. I'm someone whose family is directly benefiting. And at the same time, I'm watching a lot of my friends really are facing this kind of disastrous job market that Cruz is describing, but he has the reasoning behind it entirely wrong. I mean, if you look at a household where you have two people who together have $53,000 in debt, that household will lose over $200,000 in those members' lifetime. It's clear that what's holding us back has nothing to do with whether or not the Affordable Care Act is funded.
Yeah.
It's everything to do with student debt that's increased over the course of my lifetime. Between 1999 and 2011 has increased 511%. That's the issue.
John, Senator Cruz is an evangelical Christian. He knows that lying is wrong. Are you willing to reach out to Ted Cruz's office and ask for an apology, or at least a clarification as to how in the heck that happened?
This is clearly a misrepresentation of the article he pulled my name from. It's a misrepresentation of the factors that my generation is facing. If you go back and you read the Wall Street Journal article that he's quoting from, the phrase student debt is mentioned 13 times. The phrase healthcare is mentioned once by someone who's saying that they are happy that they have health insurance because most of their peers do not. I think this is a gross distortion of the factors that young people really are facing, and it's kind of shameful that he is acting as if he is acting in the interest of young folks while pushing for his own agenda.
Okay. Are you going to seek an apology or some reaction from the senator? I mean, heck, you know, I have been in conversation on the Senate floor before when Tom Harkin and John Warner were going back and forth about liberal talk radio on Armed Forces Radio Network. And when I heard my name on the Senate floor, I went, what the heck is this all about? I mean, you had to be, there had to be a level of you being stunned when you knew your name was on the Senate floor, especially in this venue of TedCruz.
Yep, I definitely would love to speak to the senator or to his people. I would love to understand why I was the best example they could find of everyone in America of someone who's hurt by Obamacare, because if I'm the example of someone who is suffering under Obamacare, Obamacare is a pretty sweet deal.
Yes, it is. John Connolly, thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate you coming on. Next time, taking your questions, Ask Ed Live. But I do want to say this. Ronald Reagan used to say we must trust but verify. Do we have to verify now what Ted Cruz says on the Senate floor? Because he will distort things. He will distort the facts. He will tell lies on the Senate floor. He will go out and talk about people as if he knows them when he's never met them. This is how they operate. This is who they are. This is the Republican Party being guided by these nutjob Tea Partiers. And I think Ted Cruz should go on the Senate floor and issue a correction. This is about character. Does he have the character to do that? Probably not. Ask Ed Live is just ahead. Stay tuned.